explained. You don't want to miss out because we're not just talking about order dates. That means when you can actually order a Ford to not miss out, because some of these Ford models are really hot and are going to sell out very quickly. So we're going to be talking about dates. That's more, you could say, administrative work. Let's actually talk about some exciting stuff around that, such as what kind of delay you can expect and why delays are different from one dealer to another. So if you're wondering, hey, if I order a Ford, what kind of delay can I expect? We're here to cover that tonight. If you're wondering, does it make a difference whether I order from a small dealership or a big dealership? We're also here to help you out with that. And of course, episode 2 of this live is going to be about saving you thousands. So maybe you've never wondered what you need when you order from a dealership, but you definitely should be wondering what you need to do when ordering from a dealership, because if you don't get things done right, you probably will get robbed. So we're going to be talking about how to order from a dealer and not get robbed. Now, this is good for every make and model, every manufacturer except Tesla. So we're covering you. We're going to save you thousands tonight, folks. And on the topic of saving thousands, episode 3 is going to be about reliability. What is reliability? Why do we put so much importance on these reliability studies? What are the reliability studies? And should we really be looking at more factual, data-driven information, such as cost of ownership? I'm saying it, cost of ownership needs to be the new gold standard. We need to invest in cost of ownership the way we invest in gold right now. So folks, we need to be investing in gold right now, and when we're shopping our vehicles, we need to be looking at cost of ownership, because reliability studies have become a real farce, I could say a real frickin' joke. It's a joke. Reliability studies are just ridiculous. I'll tell you what they're actually looking at, and the type of things they put importance on, it's really hit and miss, because anyways, we'll get into it. It's just very, very poorly done. We need to look at cost of ownership. So of course, I'll have information on cost of ownership on the Ford Maverick, the Ford Bronco. We'll talk about a bit about the Edge and the Ford Ranger, because those actually have also very low ownership costs. The Edge has also been rated #1 in reliability in its category, but at the end of the day, it's cost of ownership, folks, that matters, because they're looking at the wrong things when they're not looking at precise data when they're looking at reliability. So that's what we're going to be looking at. And speaking of reliability, if we've got time, Marie, going with her old vehicle, we're going to be doing a build and price of the Toyota RAV4.
Yeah, so I love that car.
You love that car. You liked it. It was a good vehicle for you. You have insider information about little things that bothered you, and also what you loved about the vehicle. I certainly remember what bothers me about the RAV4, but I don't want any of you getting fooled. It's going to be a very positive build and price, but there will be don't be fooled information. Every make, every model has the don't be fooled information. You don't want to be taken for a ride and get caught up in all that beautiful marketing and think everything's going to be perfect and peachy. Everything isn't going to be perfect and peachy if you don't go in knowing what you need to know. So the RAV4, I was a little disappointed about its snow performance, but we'll get to that in just a moment at the end of the show if we have time. And of course, I'll do a really quick segment at some point, throwing 1 or 2 little jokes on ridiculous things that happened in the automobile world this week that just makes me laugh. So in one live, we had a guy driving on his motorcycle through a severe rainstorm, and had he had the wrong tires, he would have ended up underneath my truck. So thankfully, that's not the case. No one was harmed in the production when I filmed that. But let's get started. Let's put the pedal to the metal and burn some gas with this episode. Now, just want to say hi to everyone who's in here. Outsider Reviews, thank you so much for making it. 4 High, 4 Low. Randall Peters, hello. Ridgeview, I haven't seen your name pop by because I was busy talking, but I know you're here. You're always here. So thank you very much to the regular crew that make it in every week. You make it a pleasure to come do this live with you all, because it's our hangout time. So we really love seeing the regulars come back. And whether you're a regular or a complete newbie, please do contribute. Throw in information in the comments section. If you don't agree with me, you're allowed to say so. Now, Marine Vet, of course, thank you so much for making it tonight. To all the members, a very special thank you. You know, when you subscribe to the channel, it really helps out. It's free. It helps feed and dress those poodles, and it's free. But the members are actually helping finance the channel. So thank you so much. We got Danny Balduck in the house. Danny is a friend, and he's also a colleague. Actually, anything I really know about washing vehicles, polishing vehicles, all the good stuff I know comes from him, because I know some stuff that isn't good. I used to wash vehicles in a manner that I would often put little spider web lines in my vehicles. And Danny is an incredible resource. Many years. I don't want to embarrass him, but I'll just say many years of experience in auto detailing. And he is the one that definitely, anything positive I know about auto detailing comes right from him. So if you look at our maintenance vehicle videos, anytime I'm covering something, I learned it from him, and not nearly as well as he does it, or nearly as well, but we do our best. So let's put the pedal to the metal. Let's get this show started. So let's talk about scheduling. So scheduling is important to know, because, and when it comes to scheduling, we got to take this with a grain of salt. Some people will say, you know what, if I can't just walk into a dealership and buy a model, well, then you don't get my business. You're not good enough for me. Well, that's one attitude to have, but in real life, having an attitude usually isn't all that productive and doesn't get you that far, because these days, the vehicles that aren't available on lots, there's benefits to that. They have incredible resale. So Marie, your Maverick, you waited a long time, but you got a special rebate from Ford for your extremely long wait. That was about $3,800 Canadian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 2023, it was 37 and some dollars Canadian. Yeah.
You got your original. You didn't get to protect your 2022 price, but you got the first available 23 price. So that had cost savings as well. So if you were to sell your vehicle right now, how much more do you think you'd get for your Maverick?
I would say I see that in Sherbrooke we sell a used car, sometimes used Maverick for $40,000.
Actually, your exact vehicle, you paid roughly about 34 Canadian for it.
Yeah.
And with 35,000 kilometers, a 22 sold for like 43 something.
That's good.
I think it was basically 44. So you've got about $10,000 of added value to your vehicle. Pretty simple. Now, you had to wait a long time. It definitely was not available on the yard, but you're in an incredibly positive situation. This is why scheduling notes are important. The vehicles that they have a whole lot of sitting around on lots, those vehicles are going to depreciate far more so than the appreciation that your vehicle take on. Your vehicle's worth it, appreciated. It's worth $10,000 more than what you paid. That's incredible. Now, let's get to the specifics, the boring details for just a moment. And I'm sorry, that was Lily chiming in saying, Dad, you shouldn't be boring, but this is really important information to know. So you're going to want to note this. Now, the 2023 Mustang, the real Mustang I'm talking about here, it's been balanced out since March for the 23. So let's focus on the 24. The order bank will open. It already did open, the 27th of March, and they're going to start building them. It's going to be the 1st of May. So May 1st, they are building them. Now, you've got the Mustang Mach-E. I wish they would have just called that the Mach-E, and I know I'm not the only one out there that believes this, but the Mustang Mach-E 23 balanced out, or will be balancing out in July. So they're going to be building... they're going to be scheduling until July the 23 Mach-E. However, when are they going to start scheduling 24s? Well, you cannot go and order a 24 October 16th, 2023. That is when you can order one, and that means job one is when they start building them. It's going to be January 2nd, 2024. So this is a great example because we're going to get to Maverick, Bronco, Ranger, all your favorite models. This is a great example of how to understand what these dates really actually do mean. So what it really means, some people will think, for example, like, oh, well, right now, if you don't have a 23 Maverick scheduled, it's game over. No, because they're still scheduling them, and they're going to continue building them. In the case of the Mach-E here, they're going to build right up until the very end of December. They're going to be building 2023s. Job one, so job one for the 2024 model means when they start building 24s. Any date after that, no matter when you ordered, you're not getting a 23, you're getting a 24. And any date before the job one date for 2024, if you get scheduled, you're getting a 23. Except for the rare case where you get scheduled, you get given a VIN, and then they have to push it off because something drastic happens, such as a software issue where they have to stop building or vehicles, or they build them and they park them outside. So we have seen that with the Super Duty. So that's important Ford news here. On a side note, the Super Duty production has stopped a couple times this year, or several times this year. And that's going to be the new norm at Ford, because Ford is focusing on the Kaizen or Kaizen model. It's sort of the Japanese business philosophy where everyone needs to focus on doing a task to the best possible manner. You really quality focused, and Ford has promised to be quality focused, and that was a promise by Jim Farley, who said it'll take a few years, but we'll get to that in maybe a side episode. I just want to quickly talk about the Super Duty. We'll get back to scheduling notes. So Bronco Sport, now the 23 has been sold out since April 12th, so that means new orders being put in. Looks like they're going to be built as a 24, because sold out means all the ones that have already been ordered, well, those are the ones that are going to be built. They sold enough that all future 23 builds, you could say, are spoken for, even if they have not all been scheduled. So it's kind of a weird thing. Something can be sold out and scare people and say, hey, Maverick sold out, so that means I'm not getting scheduled. No, it means what they already have in the system, it's enough to cover their entire 23 production. So Mavericks are still getting scheduled, and we'll get to scheduling notes right after these important dates. So you need to actually be ready for the Bronco Sport. If you're looking to have one, you can probably find some on dealer yards locally. We have a few, and they're surprisingly good. I like the Bronco Sport, and I didn't think I would. And that was sort of like an emotional response to things because, big Bronco, this and that. But the Bronco Sport is actually a surprisingly very good vehicle. And interest rates on any 2022s remaining are interestingly very low. And by very low, I mean the average new vehicle interest rate is around 8.5. And it's actually starting to near closer to 9%. The standard rate is 9.15%. And you can get a 2022 Bronco Sport for, I was looking at it today, it depends what region, what country you're in, but 84 months was at 3.49% and lower interest if you paid it off quickly. So that's pretty impressive. So the 2024 Bronco Sport, you're going to be able to go up and order one of those July 17th, 2023, but they're only going to start building those 2024 Bronco Sports October 16th. So before that date, they are still building 2023s, and there's still going to be some scheduling going on. So if you've ordered a Bronco Sport and you're waiting on one, you still very well may get scheduled between now and normally they build out 1 to max 2 months ahead. So right now we're May 1st, and we're, for most models, scheduling July. So there's still hope for the month of July, August, September, October for many of these models, and November in certain cases. Now the Escape, 2023 Escapes are finally showing up, and they are looking very good, my friends. This is a quality vehicle, especially if you take a plug-in or a hybrid. Now, the plug-in, these things use the transmission like the very, very similar to the Maverick. It's an eCVT. It's reliable. I'm not a fan of CVT, so don't be fooled. An eCVT from Ford or Toyota is a planetary gear set. It's a gear setup, big gears, one big gear and a bunch of smaller gears. It is a solid setup. It's not a CVT that's either belt driven or chain driven. And someone tried the other day, tried to pull a bit of not a fast one on me. It wasn't anything deliberate, but they're like, Johnny, all vehicles, all CVTs now are chain driven, as if that resolved everything. Okay, chain driven is a little definitely better than belt driven. Some are still belt driven, by the way, but chains with time can stretch and they have particular problems that can arise. And I actually had that ready on the side here. We can go check that out. So the issue with the belts and just CVTs in general, they seem to hesitate. They can hesitate, and with time, as they wear, they're going to have more of a delay. And
That's not fun.
That's not fun. No. So the Toyota RAV4 Beware from 2014 to 2018, it had a CVT, but it's no longer an issue. So sorry, I was just looking for the exact, I wanted to drop a quote on the CVT transmissions, but basically it's just that when you press on the pedal, there can be a delay. And also with time, either the belt or the chain can also stretch out, and it can be quite costly when it comes to repairs. You're often looking at, depending on the damage in the transmission, for example, the Honda CRV, you can be looking at a $3,000 to $8,000 rebuild of the transmission. Not a new transmission, a rebuild costing $3,000 to $8,000 US. So not fun.
Why buy eCVT when a eCVT is available on the market?
Just to have that, just so that you guys see that I do try to source my information as much as possible. You see right there, $3,000 to $8,000. Biggest problems with the CVT transmissions: overheating, slipping, and sudden loss of acceleration. Shuddering is also a common problem. No, we do not want that. And since CVTs depend on the belts to operate, or chains, if these suffer from excessive stretching or too much wear, the transmission can completely fail, folks. So I avoid CVT like the plague. We were so worried about wearing masks because we didn't want to get, sick. Well, a CVT transmission will cause a whole lot more damage to your family, because $8,000 can definitely cause some major problems. It can lead to a divorce even. None of that going on here. So the Escape, fantastic vehicle. I love the new look. We had a few come in.
It looks
as
like
you can
more
see here.
The Edge. Yeah,
I
love it.
That's a good eye. It does look more like the Edge. And someone in the comments dropped outside of reviews. I guess he realizes I don't like CVTs that much. And Danny Baldzuk brings up a really great point. You definitely do not want to be pulling with a CVT. And it's annoying because manufacturers that want to sell models, if you look at the Nissan Rogue, they're going to tell you, oh, go ahead. It's perfect for towing up to. Okay, maybe if you tow once or twice in the life of the transmission, no big deal. But if you're towing on a regular basis, or even if it's, 10 times a year, but, periods of 4 or 5 hours in a row, what happens, we talked about it just now, stretching of the belt or the chain can lead to catastrophic failure. So that is a huge, huge problem. And towing, as Danny Boldzuk pointed out, you don't want to be towing with a CVT, because towing, you accelerate and you stop, you accelerate and you stop, and because you're pulling something behind you, that's going to lead to more stretching, leading to quite possibly catastrophic failure. So I avoid those transmissions like the plague, and we all should as well. Now there's the interior of the Escape here. Sorry, going through photos pretty quickly, but the interior of the Escape, I just want to show you. Ford has made it simple, and this is part of Ford's future plan. I've been talking about this for basically from the more or less since I started doing this channel, saying that Ford would start cutting down on options so that the cost to build them gets under control. And it's also when you have less options, it's a little easier to get things right. You have less, you could say less moving parts in the factory. It's more that there's less parts being switched and around. You can more easily spot errors because Ford has now openly said, and using the Super Duty as an example, when someone in the factory spots an error, they're going to stop the factory and work at fixing the problem. So that's been a part of Toyota's recipe for success since the 1960s. And Ford, it's my proof. It's a story from Ford Authority, and it's my proof of what I was saying recently, saying Ford is going to adopt the Japanese business philosophy, called Kaizen. So the interior, you get two colors, and now when you go plug in on the Escape, there's one model. You just get to pick if you take the added tech. But this is black and gray. I think it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, outsider reviews was asking if it's white because on the TV we see it. It's a light gray, really light gray.
Yeah,
I love it because it brings more light in the car.
Leather on the sides here. Also, it doesn't show, but the sides here, the bolstering, looks like leather. It's Activix. It's recycled plastic. Good for the environment. We got to reuse that plastic. And then the middle here is tissue. So you don't stick to it. It's not hot. It's not going to be cold in the winter. So it's a pretty smart design. It gets my stamp of approval. I think the interior is
Do you think it will be
top marks.
Is it easy to stain that kind of tissue? Do you know that?
If
it's a light color.
Yeah, if you poop your pants, absolutely.
No, but normally my old Escape was light like that.
And those seats looked like someone had pooped their pants.
No.
They did. They really did. They had these jeans, circular stains.
The jeans color, when you go in the car and go down the car, we see a stain of the jeans.
Yes.
On the side. So
beware. Leather absorbs the ink in jeans gets absorbed even by leather.
Oh.
Yes, but leather, what's convenient is you don't get the stain out. You add a dye on top of it and you can hide that area. Whereas with the tissue, there wasn't much to do there. We tried a lot. We would have had to have called a professional. So that's the black and gray interior. You'll see tons of photos on the internet of all black, but I want to show you something a little different. So we'll keep that. Actually, let's go to one of my favorites at Ford, the Bronco, because we're getting there pretty soon. We're actually there pretty much right now. The big Bronco production. Let's talk about the big Bronco. So we all know, we all think the 23 is sold out, but it's not. You can still go and order. And if you order something with a soft top, you're almost certainly going to get a build. The chances are extremely high. Now, if you order something with the luxury package, your chances diminish. If you take Wild Track, your chances diminish. If you take Sasquatch, your chances diminish. And a hard top, chances diminish. So soft top is a key to success. I ordered a Wild Track. The Wild Track is supposed to be, in far too much demand. But guess what? I took a soft top and high package. I ordered it late. I ordered it, at the beginning of the next week after it had opened up because of constant issues with the system. Dealer internet, internal dealer system, Webdo, couldn't get through to Webdo 2-3 times. So I ended up ordering, a full week after things had started up, and we're scheduled. Our Wild Track, our beautiful eruption green Wild Track, is scheduled for the week of June 12th. Luxury package, hitch.
That's quick.
The metal front bumper, which is constrained to a certain degree as well. So we threw everything on. We threw everything at it, but we didn't take hardtop or luxe package. And there we go. We're getting a build. So the Bronco's not sold out. You can still order up a Bronco. But 2024s, if Ford announces some interesting changes for the 24, it might sell out faster than the 23 sells out. So keep an eye for that. So you can order up your 24 Bronco as of August 14th. And Ford is going to start building them November 13th. So very interesting there. You'll want to drop those dates down. And if Ford doesn't if Ford does offer some changes, because what is this? 24 is going to be they announced in 21. The first year was the 2022 Bronco, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like out of it. No, it's the 21.
You had a 21, yeah.
Yeah, I had it. You had a 21 as well.
And you had a 21.
So 24 is the third year for the Bronco. I won't be surprised if there's a little bit, if they throw a few new things at us, maybe a new model or two. That won't surprise me at all. Major change or the mid-model refresh, maybe more around 25 or 26, because the major model refresh is scheduled for 2030, 9 years. And I don't blame them. When you're working with something that's near perfection, if your recipe's near perfect, don't go mess around with the chefs in the kitchen. Let them keep, KFC, I like KFC. Don't mess around with the recipe. Coca-Cola, they had the recipe. Every time they tried to change it, people were upset. So
that's a good comparison.
The Escape 23 Escape is actually sold out. And that's because the Escape had a programming issue. Either they weren't getting built or they're getting built and hidden off in other parking lots. But there was a programming issue. And it's only up until recently that they actually started releasing them. Now, obviously, from the photos you've seen, they're really releasing them now. And we got 4 within 2 business days. So they are really releasing those Escapes. So expect to get some good news soon on your ordered Escape. But if you go and order one, 23 is sold out. So if you haven't already ordered, be ready. This will sell out quickly. And some people won't believe me, and that's fine. People are allowed to be wrong, and sometimes I'm wrong. It's great to disagree. But this is a fact. Every hybrid from every manufacturer is in demand. Mm-hmm. Pretty much every hybrid. And if it's plug-in, it's in extreme demand. The RAV4 Prime, their plug-in version, dealers, salespeople will tell you a year and a half, and it's dishonest. In a lot of places, it's more a 3-4 year wait. So the 5-year wait for our area, 5 to 6 years, has actually cut down because distribution is changing and Quebec will be distributed more. But a lot of salespeople are going to tell you a year and a half, it's going to be more. Kia and Hyundai locally, we're always telling customers 2 to 3 months. When they knew very well, then it was 2 to 3 years. Now they're telling customers it's going to be a year and a half, when really it's 3 years, or more. So keep in mind, you're going to need to know that for the Escape, July 17th, you can go and order your 2024, and they're going to start building the 2024. The plan, October 9th. And I say the plan, this is from the fleet order scheduling information sheet. So I am dealing with some real numbers, but things can move back and forth because, you can't run a business with straight black and white, unmovable dates, unmovable. It'd be like if you started the production line at the factory and say, you know what, we think we're perfect. We're never going to stop this line because everything we make is going to be perfect. That's just naive. And it's also naive to think that, a manufacturer shouldn't change their, ordering and build dates. So expected build date for an F-150 Power Boost Lariat, I'd say is probably, I've been seeing a lot of F-150s come in within 2 to 3 months. Now beware the panoramic moonroof, they are very, very hard to get these days, my friends. I was actually recently looking for one in a specific color. It's not charcoal gray anymore, carbonized gray metallic. With moonroof, XLT Sport, so Ford's building a lot of XLT Sports, and it was near impossible within a 1,500 or 2,000 kilometer radius, so about 1,000 miles, there were 5 available. So very rare. The moonroofs, the panoramic roofs, there's very few. So just keep that in mind. And it's called a panoramic roof. I'm sorry, moonroof is different. It's when you have a metal sheet potentially covering it, and it pulls back. So moving on, we've got the Edge. I have trouble believing this one. I thought the Edge was done, but it says the 23 has been done, sold out since March 14th. However, I look at these dates here and it says for the 2024, you can confirm to say if I'm a liar here or not. But doesn't that look like 2024 model year? MY stands for model year. We go down to the Edge here and we've got July 15th. You can be ordering a 2024 Edge and they're going to start building them. Sorry, the 5th month is May 15th. You can order a 2024 Edge. And July 17th is job one for building 2024 edges.
Okay, so it's not gone forever.
It's not gone, but I do know that the plant in Ontario that builds the Edge, the Nautilus, and other models, it's going off, you could say offline for all the current models sometime in 24, because when it starts building 2025 models, they're all going to be electrified models. So that's take care, Marine Vet. Thank you very much for being in the show, and thanks for giving us a little positivity before you head out. So the Expedition 23 is sold out. That you could still get a build date because they're going to be building them right up to job one date. So job one for the 24 is going to be July 17th. So there might still be a few expeditions to get scheduled before then. And I'm sorry, I got confused on my lines here, and I'm not wearing my glasses. So August 28th is job one for the Expedition. So they actually do still have scheduling for the Expedition, but order bank opening, when you can go and order an Expedition, is going to be June 12th. Now, the Explorer, it's sold out as a 23 model, and you can go and order one October 16th, and job one is going to be the 8th of January 2024. So order it up. Order it up. Be ready in October 16th. Go and order it up. So we're going to skip the Econo lines. We're going to not really skip the Transit. I am going to say, if you want a Transit vehicle, you've got wait times of over a year. And realistically, unless they really increase production right now, we're looking at a year and a half, 2 years at many, many dealers, unless you go for an EV. So consider the electric Transit. You're going to consider how much you're going to save in fuel, and look to see if your region does have, tax benefits. Now, if I'm not mistaken, for our region, you can, in the first year, deduct the entire amount from your taxes. And I believe you can also get, it's $20,000 off this vehicle, a subvention, help from the government to pay for this vehicle. So e-Transit, try ordering one up. I bet you'll get scheduled pretty quickly. Just recently, I threw one in, and it wasn't even a confirmed order. I threw it in under someone's name, but unconfirmed. So it's pretty much like asking for inventory, and it got scheduled to be built the same week. So I sold Monday, and it got scheduled and was all, up in the system by Thursday. It was confirmed that, we're getting this built in July, because most things right now are being scheduled for the month of July. Now to the excitement, the Ford Maverick sold out as of, it says here, Ford Maverick gas sold out as of March 14th. So that must be a Canadian date, because we all know this sold out in the States in September, as well as the hybrid. Now there's nothing written on the hybrid, but I'm assuming it's going to be pretty much the same in regards to order dates, because it'd be very weird to have an order date, a date to go order your new Maverick, which will sell out very, very quickly, have one date for the gas and one date for the hybrid. Traditionally, they've always blended these together on the same date. So you've got the Maverick right here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that does say July 17th. So yep. 2024, Ford Maverick, 2024, go and order it very quickly. July 17th. It's going to sell out quickly, and find out if your local dealers that you're looking to do business with, if they're going to take pre-orders. And then they themselves, let's say at 8 in the morning, the day the order banks open, if either, as soon as they open, if they're just going to start pouring into the system those pre-orders. That's how I think. I think it's the best way to do it that way, because you don't want to have, too many people going in to the dealership at the same time and then being frustrated that they're not able to put in their order because there's no available sales staff. So I think these things, a dealer should probably, I think a dealer, it makes sense to be, taking orders right now. You take it based on the 2023, and yeah, it's going to be twice the work, but it helps people out. You take in someone walks in and wants a Maverick, take the order as a 23. Call the customer up, as soon as the new order guide and pricing guide comes out for the 24. Ford, please let it out a week or two before the order bank opens, so that us dealers, we can contact our customer and say, hey, look, now the price has gone up by, this is just an example, but $2,000. We no longer have X and Y as equipment, but we just got, B, C, and D. What do you think? oh, you do want to confirm that order, well, come by and, either by email or in person, sign this. So people need to be confirming that. Now, job one for the Ford Maverick.
You need my eyes.
I need your eyes.
This one here. It's on October 16th.
Well, that's good because I was looking at the date lower and I would have been wrong. So thank goodness you're here, my my lovely partner here, my wife. So we've got the Ranger that's sold out. It sold out all the way back in October. So Ranger sold out quickly. That's also, and people are, even Ford authorities giving the Ranger a hard time for poor sales. It doesn't have poor sales. Ford is not making any because they're making these instead. Ford gave us exactly what we wanted, exactly what we needed, and they're good to us for doing that. Now, for the Ranger, the 2024 go order your 2024 Ranger at this date or before if the dealer's taking pre-orders. That would be May 26th. So May 26th, go and order your Ranger at the latest. Hopefully your dealer's taking pre-orders. I have a feeling this new model is going to sell out quickly because it is so unbelievably hot, and it's also unbelievably reliable. We'll get to that in just a moment in episode 2, but we've also got the job 1 date is running at
August 7th.
August 7th. You can trust it. You can trust Marie here. So the F-150,
It's small.
it's small. So the 2024 F-150 with all its beautiful new changes coming along, you either love them or you hate them, but if you love them, get in line. I don't think it's going to sell out all that quickly. But why not get yours sooner? It's fun having the new model before anyone else. And that new model is coming on
September 13th.
And job 1, when they start building them,
November 27th.
Now, clearly with job 1 for the 2024 being September 13th, and we're scheduling for 13th for July still, that means if you've ordered an F-150, you still have a chance to get it because they're still scheduling July. Next month, they're going to be scheduling August. And the month after that, they're going to be scheduling September, all the way to when they actually start building the 2024 F-150, which is November 27th. So there are many more months of scheduling for the F-150. Now, the Super Duty, we have gotten so few of these. They're finally, for the longest time, we weren't getting any. They're finally starting to show up, but production is going to probably stay still a little slow on them because Ford is dedicated now to actually getting everything right. They don't want the vehicle to get in the customer's hands and then have to do, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 recalls. So they want to handle things, correct the errors at the factory. So Kaizen method, they're hitting the stop button when people find an error on the production line. So yeah, the Super Duty is super sold out. There's long wait lists. There's people who've ordered, a year and a half ago that are just getting scheduled now. That's just the way it is.
I love the way you say it. Super Duty, super sold out.
Now, the Corsair. You're going to be able to order up a 2024, July 17th, Job 1, October 9th, Nautilus. You're going to be able to order up a 2024 on...
Is it that one? Yeah, on April 17th. So it's already passed.
It's already passed.
And it starts on June 9.
September, so that's a 9 right
September,
there.
Yeah, it's the reverse as
so
French.
September 6th.
Sorry.
September 6th is when they're going to start building 2024 Nautilus. And yes, the new Nautilus, it's gorgeous, and it is made in China. We're going to talk about that in regards to reliability, but just a quick side note on that. Just because it's made in China doesn't mean it's going to be horrible. So I'm keeping an open mind. And I've gotten a lot of comments this week that say, oh, Ford's going to have a vehicle built in China. Bye-bye, Ford. I even had one comment that said I bought only Ford since 1969, and now Ford has lost me as a customer. Bye-bye, Ford. Never again. And then people often say things like, well, I'm going to go buy a Cadillac. Well, that's just stupid. And it's rare that I say something is just stupid and I'm so as blunt and rude as I'm being. But Buicks are made, like lots of Buicks, if not all Buicks, are made in China. So
A lot
why?
of brand is
Yeah,
made
I
in
just,
China.
I like consistency. I think it's ridiculous to say, you know, F you Ford, I'm out of here. I'm going to go buy a Cadillac because the Nautilus is going to be made in China, but then you go buy from a company that has way more production in China. That is, well, that's jumping the gun. It's stupid. It's a little stupid.
Yeah, you
Like,
can see it.
yeah, it's simple. You just Google. We all have Google. You just quickly Google. So, you know, it's great to have principles, and it's good to get upset about stuff. Getting upset about stuff and choosing how we spend our money helps control these big, huge corporations. And we need to do a whole lot more of it. I'm all about the people having influence and power over corporations, and I'm very much against corporations having influence and power over us. I don't want corporations tracking me. I don't want digital currency that is controlled by, you know, governments. I don't want everything in my life to be controlled. I don't want to be forced off of stake. I will go to war if the system tries to force me off of stake. It's just wrong. You know, screw off, WEF. I want my stake. But big but. It's important to be consistent, but it is good to try to control corporations. So I'm all for the idea of, hey, let's discourage major corporations from shipping things off to China. Just don't go buy from another company that is doing it at a far more drastic point. And do remember, the Nautilus and the Edge were made in Canada. And Canada, this is actually pretty cool. So the Edge, which, you know, it's not a whole lot of, you know, new technology, you could say, and it's not the future, is being sent to China for a cheaper production. But Ford is spending, what is it, $1.7 billion in Canada so that Canadians, you know, very skilled workforce, can build the new EVs for Ford. And not just EVs, electrified models. So they might be plugins. They're probably going to be a mix of plugins and EVs. Thank you, Nelazar, for saying, I want my steak is the quote of the year. Yes, that needs to be our rally cry. You know, we need to fly flags that say, I want my steak. If ever they try to give us a token system where we have our own carbon tax, but it's based on how we spend our digital currency, so that, you know, corporations and governments, they're the same thing anyways, that corporations and governments can really decide what we eat. So then at the end of the year, if you've gone over your carbon tax, they go, well, you know what? You went over your carbon points. So, you know, those steaks you had actually cost you $250 a steak or more, so that we get completely discouraged from moving around freely, from traveling, basically anything that causes pollution, really just an extreme form of control on our movement. I'm sorry, I don't exist to purely just go to work and punch in and then get home and be forced to just either be a slave to my cell phone or a slave to the television.
Randall Peters says Johnny for Prime Minister.
Well, Randall, thank you very much. That's very kind. I don't have the good looks for it. In Canada, you have to be a very good-looking man to be Prime Minister.
And we're only in episode 1, and you already did your bacon crisis.
My freak out. Yeah.
Only episode 1,
very,
and it's done.
Yeah, the bacon crisis is very much a French thing. They call it la crise du bacon.
Yeah.
It's when a kid throws themselves on the
bacon
on the ground and is just screaming and crying. Yes, I have had that. So finishing up the scheduling notes, I get the hint, honey. So the Aviator, 2024 Aviator, you can still order an Aviator right now. You can, you know, all the Lincolns basically, you can still, nope, actually, production month for new order. Yeah, no, that's not true. The Aviator, let's focus on the 2024 if you don't find one on the lot, but you most certainly will find most Lincolns on the lot. But it's July 17th if you want the new model for ordering. And job one is going to be October 16th. So impossible, if you order a 24, impossible to get it before October 16th unless that date gets moved around. Now the Navigator, you'll also find one on a lot. But you've got order bank open date June 12th. And you've got job one date, that is an 8, August 28th. So thankfully, I've got my beautiful assistant here to keep me
you.
under control and to help me out
I'll
with
let you
my
do
eyesight.
your crisis.
My freak out.
Yeah,
You can,
I'll let you did it, but
and I'll let you call it a bacon crisis because I love bacon. I eat 5 eggs and 2
no,
pieces
don't
of
start
bacon
again.
every single morning. And again, they're going to say it's not good for the environment, but that's completely not true. The production of vegetables are horrible.
start.
In many cases, are horrible for the environment. Avocados are horrible for the environment. When they make bread, wheat is generally you till the whole field, you kill everything in the field, and the wheat's bad for us anyways. At least steak feeds us. And fat isn't bad. Fat feeds the brain. Without fat, you lose the gray and white matter in your brain. You end up with Alzheimer's. So
Now we're doing a nutrition show, not a car show.
well, nutrition, and unfortunately, nutrition has a whole lot to do with politics. That's the world we live in today. You told me earlier to stop talking like this because I scare you.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, let's not scare the audience. I actually enjoy hanging out with you all. So, and yes, I love agreeing to disagree, and we can always, share points because, we're all human. Sometimes we're missing a certain piece of data, and we just get the whole conclusion wrong because we're missing important data, which could be very well the case. I always have an open mind. Now, episode 2, how to order from a dealer and not get robbed. Ordering from a dealer these days can get you completely robbed. Even buying one off the lot. People think, oh, if I buy one off the lot, I'm safe. I'm so safe. You're not safe. Heck, locally, we've got 2 manufacturers. I will not name them because I don't want to get in trouble here, but I've got 2 manufacturers, their dealerships. You go to their dealerships and there's no window stickers, the suggested manufacturer retail price. They don't have them. At least Mercedes in the area, I think it kind of looks like they have fake ones, so maybe they're increased. But at the dealerships that don't have window stickers on the new vehicles, they're boosting the price by 10%. So I hear it all the time. Yeah, but such and such dealership is giving me, winter tires. They're giving me things. Well, why isn't this other dealership? If I don't get free things, I'm not getting a good deal. Getting free things sometimes means you're getting a very bad deal. Generally, when people are willing to just easily give something out for free, there might be something up. So beware, do your research, build and price online because we've got 2 major manufacturers selling a good portion of the vehicles and they don't even have window stickers. The computers at their workstations for the salespeople, they sometimes don't even know that the prices are boosted by roughly 10%. So if you add $4,000 on a $40,000 vehicle, giving $800 worth of winter tires isn't very much of a big deal. Giving $1,000 more for the trade, they're still pocketing $3,000, and sometimes they even have the audacity that if there's a manufacturer's rebate online of, let's say, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. Well, I've seen it in the past. I've seen, they're trying to sell the new vehicle for an extra $4,000, and they've got $4,000 of manufacturer rebate. So they've got $8,000 to play with. But oh boy, did we ever get a good deal because we got free winter tires. We got 8 free oil changes, and they gave me $1,500 more for my trade than anyone else. Gee gollicky, I got a good deal. Hey,
Free stuff. They paid it in stuff. The bank that they...
You know what they should also give for free? A bottle of Vaseline because they just got pooched. I get worked up. I'm worked up. I'm sorry. I'll take it down a notch.
Another bacon crisis.
Yeah. Well, it's frustrating because people think they're getting an amazing deal, and then they might be getting a very honest price somewhere else. And they'll be, I work in the industry. So I have people that say, you know what, if you don't give me winter tires and $1,000 more for my trade, you're robbing me. Well, no, because no.
If I can give you something, I'm robbing you.
So, often the case. So do your homework, build them online, know what the price should be, and the manufacturer's price with the manufacturer rebates, and the rebate can be in the form of an actual cash rebate, or it can come in the form of a better interest rate. That's not a bad deal at all. That's a fair deal for you, and it's a fair deal for the dealer. Now the dealer, generally, depending on the make, model, and manufacturer, generally they're making from the window price you see, if you see one, and the price they paid, there's generally 4 to 10% of not profit, revenue. They've got people to pay, a building to run, those road tests you get, the answers you get to your questions. Well, they need to actually have a physical space. You have to pay taxes, you have to pay rent, electricity, all that. That's their revenue. And if they cut a little bit into that, well, then you're getting a really good deal, because in life, nothing's for free. But how do you make sure you don't get robbed beyond doing the building price? Because maybe you'll do the building price and maybe they're just going to BS you. They might just tell you yes to all your questions. Yeah, you can have tires. Yeah, you can have $3,000 off. Yeah. And then they just tell you here, just cover up the name here. They'll tell you, okay, well, just sign this sheet. Here's your build sheet, and they'll send it off. But then when it shows up, they can just say, well, you know what? This is the price it is today. At GM, you pay the price when the vehicle comes in. You pay the interest rate of the month when the vehicle comes in. At Ford, what's cool for most models, most of the time, unless you transfer from, let's say, a 23 to a 24, then you can't protect the price and you cannot protect the interest rate. But when you don't transfer from one year to another, you got your initial price here. That doesn't mean you're getting that price. What you're really going to want to see, again, hide the personal information, but you're going to want to see a purchase offer or a lease offer. And it's going to be important that you get your copy and that they signed it. So make sure they signed and you signed, and that's your proof. That's your way of knowing you're getting the right price after you built it online with the equipment that you want. Sometimes it means maybe shopping is going to take 2 appointments. You go, let's say you don't want to learn about the vehicle yourself, building it online. And it's normal. It's good to ask, someone that should know the product really well. It can be really good. Hey, should I get the 2.3 liter or the 2.7 liter? And the real answer behind that, it depends on your use and what you like and what you expect out of a vehicle. But you should go in appointment 1, ask all your questions, figure out exactly what you want. You can go home, build it online, make sure you've got the right price. If you do, then go back and get that lease or purchase agreement signed. You can even have them sign the build sheet, because of maybe they'll just, if they can't offer you a purchase agreement or a lease agreement, some people say, oh, we can't do that because that's a contract. Really what they're telling you is, well, we can't do that because that legally binds us to selling you the vehicle at the price that's on that sheet. And they're right and they're wrong. They're right because, yes, they can't do that because maybe they don't want to. When the vehicle comes in, they want to sell it to you for more. And also, what's dangerous about these sheets is technically, if you really want to go to court over it, they could say, oh, I don't care if it came in as a 24. I signed for a 23 at that price, so either give me a 23 at that price or give me a 24 at that price. And maybe they'd win. So it actually is pretty legally binding. So, really, if the dealership wanted to play it safe, they'd write this price is only for a 23 model. But Ford's actually pretty cool. They help us out. They've got, different formulas, and they've got sheets here that explain, if it comes in as a different model year, they're going to do their best to protect the price and get it built, but, they can't protect that price for years to come. Now, some Bronco clients got pretty lucky, just got their Broncos basically at their original ordering price. So I've got some positive comments in the comments section about that recently. So that's what you should go through. There's actually several more pages actually for us here in Canada. They should get a picture of your driver's license. If you got, they need to get the address right in the system. They need to get your email correct in the system as well. So that's what you need to order a vehicle properly. And even if you're not ordering it and you're just buying it, sometimes when there's even a 3-day delay between when you buy the vehicle to when it gets delivered, In my career and in yours as well, how many times have we heard of people, they go buy a vehicle 2-3 days later, they go to pick it up and it's not the agreed upon price. They try, and then some places will say, oh, it's only an extra $10 every 2 weeks or $5 every 2 weeks. What's the big deal? Look how good the vehicle looks. Excuse BS. It's $5 more because, we waxed it or whatever reason.
They put something that you didn't want on it. So yeah.
They try to tell you, oh, well, the price we told you was without tax. And now that's the price with tax. I've heard that one, and that one's pretty sad and pathetic as well. So do you have any stories about that?
No, you cover it all. You resume it very well.
You did people's financial demands, so you've heard stories about bad service.
Yeah, some dealers have many tricks to give bad service.
What I'm hearing lately is a lot of lies when it comes to delay times, and people buy at the dealership that lies to them the best. Sometimes people want to buy lies. I had someone just telling me a story between two Toyota dealerships, and one dealer said, you're going to get it within 2 to 3 months. It's now been a year, by the way. And the other dealer was realistic and said, well, look, if we're lucky, it's going to be a year, maybe a little bit more. And they bought the lies. Mm-hmm. They bought the lies. Now, we'll find out. Then they came and shopped for a Bronco Sport. I spent several hours with them, but I could tell their heart was on the Toyota Camry because they're just not cool outdoors people.
Yeah, it's not the same kind of car anyway. I don't know why they are looking these two cars.
Okay, the Camry, the new Camry looks good, but it's a freaking Camry. People are picking on the Bronco Sport for being the small Bronco and this and that. And I find it very fun to drive, respectable. And at the end of the day, it's way cooler than a Camry. How?
It turns on a dime. It's fun.
Yeah. I think they're now going to go back to dealership 2 that had originally told them a year or a little more, and they're going to reorder with that dealership instead of getting a Bronco Sport. But hey, some people do hard drugs, so some people just make bad decisions. Now, hopefully there's no sound to this. Good. Sound is off. Play that in the background. Scheduling this week. So what episode are we on to now?
3.
Episode 3, scheduling this week. So we've got the vehicle line scheduling plan, folks. And here it is, the 23 Bronco. It's getting scheduled this week. So check your emails. This is exciting news. The 23 Bronco Sport, the 23 model year Escape, the 23 model year F-150. And I expect if you order an F-150 now, 2 to 3 month delay. A Ford Bronco, I expect 3 to 4 months delay if you order something with a soft top. Now, dealership makes a big difference because my local dealership does not have a huge long waiting list of Broncos. Hence why we ordered a Wild Track and we got it within, we're going to have, basically April, we could say, is basically when it got ordered.
Mm-hmm.
So
around that.
And it's going to get built June, so
receive in July probably.
That's what, 3 months?
Yeah.
April, May, June.
3 months. That's
not
quick.
Even 2.5 months from order to getting built, and then it should take about a month from when it starts to get built. So let's say it starts to get built the 15th of June. I expect it at my dealership and keys in my hand, driving away 4 weeks later. Some dealers. Now, it's not about small dealers or big dealers. It's about the waiting list, because if a small dealer is going to get only 10 Broncos for the whole year, but they only have a waiting list of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, when you order up, if they're getting 10 for the year and your order number 5 or 6, you can figure you're going to be about at the middle of the production year. So if production starts, let's say for a 24 in October and goes until the next year in September. So if it's 11 months, you just divide by 2. That's about when you should get scheduled. Unless you pick something highly constrained, like a Lux package Wild Track. Now Ford is saying, avoid the Sasquatch, but medium-sized dealership, probably get 20, maybe 25 Broncos for the whole year. And because there's next to no waiting list, I threw on, just as long as I don't throw on the worst possible. And I think if I would have asked for a hardtop, I would have still gotten built as a 23, but like the last possible month, Ford would have been trying to pass other people at other dealerships before mine, but eventually they'd say, well, this guy ordered from this dealership. The dealership has allocation. We don't want to just keep sending the dealership inventory because there's no wait list. So I would have gotten built just the same as a luxury package Wildtrak.
And Rev Nation wants to know what's your priority code on your build, just for fun.
That is a fantastic question, and I need to look at that because I don't have
don't
the
know.
answer, and I can go into.
I'm surprised that you didn't check before.
I can check it when I'm off the air. I just don't want to check it with all you guys seeing
We can
all
tell
the
you
confidential.
next week.
Yeah, there's a lot of confidential stuff that I'd have to go through to get there, and I'm not willing. I don't want to ever. I always want to do right by everybody, including myself. So we can look at that next week.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any news on the Heritage Bronco? No scheduling for now?
We got the Heritage Bronco, even when it's not a limited. So we all know the limited is super limited. It's in the name. Mind you, Ford has had vehicles they've called limited before, and then we saw them all over the place. But the Heritage Limited is actually
Really
a limited. It's an actual limited model. But the regular model, this is not known very well. It's actually pretty limited too. Some dealers will get none, and some dealers will get one, maybe two. So right now they're distributing them kind of like they're distributing Mach 1 Mustangs. You know, they're not. It's not just everyone that's getting as many as they possibly want. Let's get the Bronco back up in the background. That makes me happy. Okay, so the Bronco. Important questions to ask the dealership is how many people do you have on your waiting list, and roughly about how many do you think you're going to get for the year? If they don't want to tell you, it's either because the salesperson is lazy, so ask to speak to the manager, and if the manager doesn't want to tell you, it's because he has a big waiting list. That's a new way of shopping. You kind of have to shop what dealers might actually get the model you want. And of course, like I said at the beginning of the show, if the model is super popular, super available, if it's very much available, it's going to have a far more depreciation than this thing right here. So let's just finish this up and get to some fun news from Ford. So you've got the 24 Mustang scheduling, the 23 Maverick scheduling this week. So woot woot, Maverick people, totally not available. The Maverick is very much upsetting people because it's not available. But when you get one, you wait a long time, and when you get one, you buy it, and you can instantly sell it for quite a bit more. So the Maverick, it's got its benefits, and it also has the lowest cost of ownership in its category. So that's very important. To me, that's the real, but we all put so much importance on reliability, but we should look at cost of ownership. That's the real deal right there. You've got the 23 model year Super Duty scheduling. So I know there's people who've been waiting a year and a half. I even have one person who ordered back in 2021. We coded them 99 so they wouldn't get that built. And as soon as we could code them as almost as soon, because I needed to get their signatures for a confirmed order, and they were gone. Anyways, it took me about 4 or 5 weeks to get their order confirmed after when I could have. But nonetheless, Ford knows that's been in the system since 21, and they're still not scheduled. So a lot of wait times on the Super Duty, super long wait times on the 23 Transit. Mind you, used models that are 2 years old are selling for as much or more than a brand new model. So no cost of ownership. And the 23 Lincoln Corsair. So the Corsair, the new model, and the new model Escape finally getting built. They had a programming issue, so we didn't get them even though we're well into 2023. Let's not talk about not scheduling, because it's all the ones I didn't mention. So that ends that episode. Let's talk about reliability. So that was episode 4, am I right?
Yeah.
All right. Episode 4. Let's talk about reliability and how unreliable reliability reports are. They're the worst reports. They're horrible. What's important is cost of ownership. And let me explain why we need to stop looking at we should look at cost of ownership and put all sorts of importance on it, but we need to stop looking at reliability studies. Reliability studies will take a sample, sometimes a good sample, a big sample, and sometimes a small, very potentially misleading, inaccurate sample, but they sample and look at how many times people go to the dealership other than an oil change in a certain number of years. Often they even only look at the first year. And the most reliable will have something ridiculous like 1.7 vehicles. Sorry, the least reliable will have about 2.7. The middle of the pack will be around 1.7, and then the most reliable will be at 1.2. So you're telling me the middle of the pack is 1.5 visits versus the most reliable brand is at 1.2 or 1.3 visits, and you're telling me that is supposed to be significant and important? Your visit could have been a blown motor. Heck, joke of the day coming up right here. Joke of the day. Let's find this here. Hid it away somewhere. So joke of the day. You could be going for something as simple as your Bluetooth on your phone. So many people, the Bluetooth shuts off on the phone. They blame the vehicle. They say my vehicle Bluetooth isn't working anymore. And that counts as a visit other than an oil change when they show up at the service department. Nothing was wrong with their vehicle. In Consumer Reports, in 2 years back to back, I remember in 2017 I read it, as well as 2019, page roughly 6, they even said, well, we have to admit, yeah, probably legally, folks, we have to admit that most of the visits were for electronic issues. They didn't say electronic repairs, they said electronic issues. So a lot of it comes down to people having trouble with the technology. But they're not counting, they're not weighting the difference between a blown engine or this poor schmuck, a bent frame. There's no waiting. There's no heck, if this happens often enough, they should almost be forced to stop making them. Whereas we all put so much importance when we're purchasing on reliability studies, and they're bogus, because if you went to the dealership saying something's wrong with my Ram, this counts as one of those visits other than oil change. Mind you, someone who, let's say you have a brand that sells to a lot of people who are a little older, who might have a little more trouble with their Bluetooth. If their Bluetooth is off on their phone and they go in and say the Bluetooth in my vehicle is not working, and sometimes it's just the communication has fouled between the phone and the vehicle, and you just need to delete the connection from your phone and your vehicle and then add it back in. So add your phone back into the sync system at Ford, and then everything's hunky-dory. Often it's because the Bluetooth's off. Well, that gives you a strike just as much as this piece of junk right here. So and I'm not saying all Rams are a piece of junk. I'm saying that when that happens, you can say, you know what, my truck's a piece of junk for whatever reason. And unfortunately, the new Dodge Hornet, as good as it looks, TFL had it in their hands, and I guess they put the pedal to the metal and on their skid test, and every light possible lit up in the dashboard.
That's not good. But
Dodge is good at winning reliability studies. Dodge will, this many years has been, considered, it gets labeled, the most reliable truck. That's just because the people aren't even able to get to the dealership to make the complaint. You're not driving that to the dealership. You don't get that little reliability strike against you for 1.7 visits to the dealership versus, the number one brand at one. And for years, it was Toyota, because they just don't have technology that can confuse people. There is no technology. Up until recently, Toyotas were just 20 years behind. So no matter, you can be 95 and say, hey, this is easy. This is easier to figure out than the VHS system. And you're like, what, VHS? What are you talking about? Yeah, video recording system. But anyways, this guy's not making it to the dealership to complain. Toyota has often very much won the reliability studies, but they had no tech in them. In the 2015s, they sometimes still had, in 2012 models, they had a little clock up top, and that was like their big technology. They had a little digital clock. So hopefully you start feeling a little better.
Yeah.
Now talking about Toyota, this one here worked at Toyota, and they're great vehicles. I love them. Everyone has their pros and cons. Toyota up until recently, boring style, very old technology. They keep their suspension and motors for 20 years. The 4Runner has a 20-year-old engine in it. People love their Toyotas, even if they're buying a vehicle that has a 20-year-old engine in it. Journalists are unbelievably kind and nice to Toyota. I don't know why it is, because journalists, especially in our area, they'll just, our French branding, they'll say, basically you're crazy if you buy anything other than Hyundai, Kia, or Toyota. And I don't get it. Everyone has their pros and cons. Toyota never gets a hard time for being underpowered, generally, having old mechanics that are very, very, very reliable. There's your pro. Very reliable. But the con, lots of gas because it's old technology. And boring. Mind you, their styles. I love their styles now. And that's why we're going to do a build and price on the Toyota right here tonight. Let's get this episode started. So what is this, episode 5?
Yeah.
Episode 5. We're going to be talking about we're going to do a build and price on the 2023 Toyota, and we're going to cover all your don't be fooled information so that you don't spend, years waiting for a Toyota that you thought would get built, that you were told would get built, because salespeople are sometimes pretty slimy, and it shouldn't be that way. I think there should be a forced license if you want to sell anything. Even if you want to sell a pair of shoes, go get a license. And when you lose your license selling shoes, you can't sell anything the rest of your life. You can't sell real estate. If you're deemed untrustworthy, let's just cut them out from selling unless they're doing it on a personal level. But anyways, when you're a bad salesman at one dealership, I don't see how you can bounce from dealership to dealership, robbing people and just staying, making a fortune for 1 year. Then your reputation goes down the toilet, clockwise in our region, counterclockwise if you're on the southern hemisphere. But that's how toilets flush, folks. But these people should get
How
flushed.
do you know that? I never checked that.
Episode of The Simpsons from like 20 years ago.
Okay. That's why.
Now, let's talk about the Toyota RAV4. We've got very good looking vehicle. Do you want to talk? You're the design pro
gorgeous
here.
Gorgeous is the right word. I cannot say better than that. I love the look. The design is awesome. I love the square SUV, so that's perfect for me.
It's pretty square, folks. You've got, strong lines, quick cuts, nothing's rounded off on this vehicle. It's not a triangular. It's not the Santa Cruz, which is just 10,000 triangles put together to be called a truck when it's really just a car. The Santa Cruz is a fantastic car.
And I love the color that we see on the screen.
I do like this color, but honey, computer colors are
so
different. And it's not the same. It's so different. Now, we've got someone in the group here, Ukulele Cherry. I think the 2024 Jeep Wranglers are hideous. They certainly are different. I do like the look of the new Wrangler. I just need to do a little more homework if they've changed up that transmission. I know they don't leak like crazy from the roof the way they used to. But we've got the RAV4 here now. What RAV4 would we get? Well, before we talk about which one we would get and what you need to know so you don't get fooled, let's actually look at some hopefully real world photos, because you cannot trust the computer generated ones, the digital ones, but that is an actual red. Good mags. Toyota for the longest time had very boring silver mags, basically no matter what model you got. Double exhaust, so Toyota starting to actually listen to consumers and be less boring. People like double exhaust. Those are some good looking lights, nice angles. And it doesn't have a 20-year-old engine the way the 4Runner does. So 4Runner, Tacoma, they take a lot of gas, old technology. We'll see when the new Tacoma comes out if they can improve fuel economy. But the new Tundra came out. They came out with basically the Ford's EcoBoost engine. It's a 3.5 liter twin turbo, but it's not very fuel efficient. It's less fuel efficient than Ford's, even though they've got the advantage of having the brand new technology. Mind you, Ford just brought out a new edition of the 3.5 liter twin turbo V6, producing 500 pound-feet of torque, 400 horsepower. So just because a block can be like an old block, when you do new additions, sometimes they end up with more power or more fuel efficiency. But we've got new engines coming out from Toyota and actually huge power. It's wild to put Toyota and power in the same sentence, but the plug-in is powerful. You're not going to feel powerful when you wait quite a while for it. If you can find one available now, wow, you just got a big buck with a huge rack, like, once in a lifetime.
It will go quick.
It'll go quick because in our area, if you get one of these vehicles at MSRP, you can sell it for more and make money. So there's your new Toyota. Let's actually look at which one we would buy. Try to get back to where we were. Let's see how easy it is to use their site. So not too bad here. We've got the 22 set up, and that was actually something I didn't like about their website. When you're looking at all the models, it is cool how you can look at all their models on one page. And, they're showing us all the GR86s, which is cool. At Ford, they just show you the one F-150 and it's a picture of a red cap. So not very exciting, not very enticing to go click on it. But here they've got so much, it can be a little confusing. So we talked about how the new Camry actually looks good. Yeah, it looks really good. Well done, Toyota. I never thought I'd give Toyota compliments on style since they lost it in the 90s. My Toyota MR2 looks great, and so does the Supra from those years.
Since few years, they became to have a US look because they were stuck in the same look for a long time.
Yeah.
But since maybe 2 to 4 years, they finally tried to change a lot of model, not just a little change, but a complete remodel.
And it's going well because look, the Tacoma is going to get remodeled almost certainly. That's the old one. And it's almost certainly going to get remodeled into this. So the Tacoma is going to look like a small Tundra.
And we saw
I'd bet $20 on that.
We saw one, I don't remember, I guess it was in Florida that we were.
Yep.
And it looks bigger.
Yep. Look at this. You go for and here's the problem with Toyota. Even when they've got new technology, they're still having issues with fuel economy. You've got the Tundra iForce Max. It's a hybrid. 20 miles per gallon, 24 miles per gallon, city versus highway. But you look at the regular one, 18 and 24. That's not much of a difference. Why would I spend extra money? Because Toyota charges extra money when you want anything that's written hybrid on it. They charge a lot of extra money. So you need to do the math and figure out if it actually makes sense for you. So that's the first piece of advice I've got on the RAV4. Before you go ahead and jump, let's look at the beginning pricing on the RAV4. Now here's the confusion. You've got a 22 and then a 23. But you have to look really closely at the small print to understand why there's $1,000 difference between these two models. So naturally, I came on the website, I click on the one that's $1,000 less because I like saving money, like anyone. No one's like, I want to spend more money for no reason. And they're not telling you the reason very clearly. They need to change the color or add, RAV4 is written really, really big. But it'd be nice if that 2022 was written a little bit bigger, a little more bold to it. And here's another thing that's annoying me. They're showing you a picture. Now, okay, in light gray, you can see it, $39,875 US dollars is the model shown. Mind you, the big attractive price, that actually catches your eye, $27,900. That's $12,000 off. I call BS on that. Don't be fooled. Don't fall for the picture here. It's just not right that they do this. Like, show me a model. Ford's doing the opposite. When you're looking at all their models, they're showing you an F-150 that's a regular cab. They're showing you the most mundane, boring model. But when you're at least the starting price is what you see. And then you click on it, you play around with it, and you can build yourself an incredible looking machine. But here they're showing you an incredible price and an incredible looking machine, and it's misleading. But let's not be misled. Let's jump in. Now, the plug-in, here's a big don't be fooled. Most places you're going to be waiting the sleazy salesperson. If they're not all sleazy. You got some reputable people in all domains, and you've got some bad people in all domains. But sometimes you're going to be told it's 2-3 months or 1 year. It's not. At a lot of dealerships, you're looking at it roughly 3 years, because some places will be 1.5 years and other places will be 4 or 4.5 years based on their waiting list. So shop your dealer, ask them what their waiting list is, how many roughly they get per year, how many people are waiting, and then do the math yourself. You probably will catch them and they'll only realize after they've told you that they've actually accidentally told you how long it's going to be without getting to slide in their little sly little lie. Now, the RAV4, you can see if it's a plug-in, it's considerably more, but do keep in mind for most people, this is going to be a vehicle that's 100% electric and a whole lot more fun to drive than the regular model. Now, the reason it's a whole lot more fun to drive is because it has a whole lot more power. And let's say you've got, what is it, about 70 kilometers. So that'd be about 40 miles, 40, 50 miles of all electric mode. Of course, you're going to get more electric driving in city than on the highway. So when you're driving electric, it's the opposite of gas. Petrol engines, fuel engines always they're more efficient on the highway, less efficient in the city. Well, electric, it's the opposite. Much more efficient in the city than on the highway. So if this can be an all-electric vehicle for you and you're going to keep it 10 years, maybe it makes sense to spend an extra, what is this, $27,975 as a starting price versus $42,340.
Big difference.
I'm not a mathematician, but what is that? 15,000. I'm happy we got it at the same time. So let's not build the plug-in. Mind you, that is the model I prefer because of the power. So it doesn't matter what we build. It's more about the exercise of doing it and where our advice is. Now, we both work relatively close to where we live, but we don't keep vehicles long enough. So you could think the extra money isn't worth it, but we know that the resale on the plug-in is incredible. So if we could get a plug-in, or if we get in line now to have one later on, I know the resale and cost of ownership is going to be unbelievably low, just like the Ford Maverick. Great purchase, unbelievable resale value. You sell it for more than what you bought it for if it's the hybrid. And also now listed by Kelley Blue Book. Kelley Blue Book listed it as the lowest cost of ownership based on 5 years. And that's what we need to look at. Cost of ownership. The Edge is a winner on cost of ownership. The Ford Ranger is a winner on cost of ownership and reliability. Same thing with the Edge. It's known on a 3-year ownership experience because the cost is so low. It's considered, that's true reliability is how much it's going to cost you, while the Edge is a huge winner. The Bronco's been listed as a huge winner because it's got the lowest cost of ownership for its category, and the Ford Maverick. This plug-in is going to have great cost of ownership. You could drive, we could do our trip to Florida and just stop for gas. You don't have to stop and charge it. We can stop and charge it once we get to the hotel down in Florida. So I actually would take this, and I would actually like it because it's actually considerably powerful. So we like it a little, you like things a little more basic. I like things a little more luxurious. So it's important to know what makes you happy. And you can always look at view details. So I'll zoom in on that at any time. I can't zoom here, but right down here, there's a little button called view details. So you can look what's in the XSE. And then you can read through, 19-inch 5-spoke black painted and machined sport alloy wheels, bi-LED projector, low and high beam headlights, vertical LED, accent lights. So you can read through the whole list and decide online without speaking to a salesperson, is this the right vehicle for me, or can I get by with just the lower model? So let's say we select this because I do like, the interior is it's got their sort of kind of leather interior. So it's definitely something that I would go for. And then I want to start building it. So Toyota, are you going to make it easy or hard? Well, you can compare models, but that's fun with their website. I do like that. But so far, I'm having trouble actually getting a monthly price from them, which is pretty annoying.
Because it's written contact a dealer.
Yeah, that's not fun, Toyota. So here you can actually go through, compare your models, see what you're getting, what's standard for one versus not standard. So what's cool right here, you can look, Toyota allows you to compare the XSE versus the SE. You can go down, you can say, okay, well, which one has the 10.5-inch Toyota audio multimedia, 6 speakers with wireless car, the sound system and the nice screen. Okay, well, it's standard on the XSE, and it's not even optional on the standard model. Then you see, oh, well, the standard model does have an 8-inch Toyota audio screen with speakers, and you can decide easily what type of equipment you want. Now, I'm definitely an XSE guy because I like JBL premium audio, including a subwoofer and amplifier.
Wow.
So you'll just want to look through the whole list. You can then click, exterior, interior, safety, mechanical, and performance. And here is why I would definitely go for the plug-in. It's powerful. It's got about 300 and some odd pound-feet of torque, and it's also an eCVT. So don't be fooled. Earlier in the show, I poo-pooed on CVTs. They are bad. They are problematic. They could cost you a ton of money, but an eCVT from Toyota or Ford is incredible. It's very reliable. It's a big gear with some smaller gears. Your Maverick, do you want to talk to us about how it feels to actually drive it? Does it feel like a transmission that is slipping or hesitating?
Smooth. It never kicks. No, we don't feel that it changed the gears because it doesn't have gears. So it's just smooth all the way. Yeah, I love it so much. So yeah, you have trouble you can only compare, select it, but they said limited inventory in your area. Please contact the dealer.
So let's go back. Maybe that's why I can't build it the way you can on the Ford website or
maybe
even Hyundai, Kia.
If you didn't take a plug-in,
that's
maybe
right.
The regular one.
A vehicle that's actually available, which is kind of cool. They're like, no, don't look at the monthly because you're never going to get that. You're never going to get a 2023. And the area I put in is the area code 90210. So I'm sorry, it's a US zip code that I actually remember.
Yeah, on this one I saw, if you go up, get a quote.
So let's try and get a quote.
Oh, contact information.
Now
they don't want you to.
They don't want me to, and don't be fooled. The 2.5 liter, it sounds like a big, powerful 4-cylinder, but it's not that powerful. You had the 2.5 liter, and I found it lackluster. How did you find it? Did you find it was plenty of power for everything you need to do, or did you feel that sometimes No, your Toyota RAV4, because you had a Toyota RAV4. You had the 2.5 liter engine, of course, because this was in 2018. And of course, Toyota's still using the same engine because, well, it's Toyota. Tell me about...
As a new car, it was going well. I cannot say.
Did it have enough power for you?
If we compare to your Lightning, no. If we compare to
pathetic compared to the Lightning, but the price is a little different.
If we compare to a regular car in 2018, because if we want to compare the same thing, it was good. It was not better than anyone or less good. So
now here's the thing. Marie doesn't press on the pedal. She's a responsible adult, and I am not. I drive like a child. So the 203 horsepower from the RAV4 2.5 liter for me is total garbage, and for her
was good.
is good. And that's, this is why it's important to know your habits, what you like, test drive as many vehicles as possible. Because for me 203 horsepower is just bad. Now I do like the fact that if you go with a RAV4 do you want to take care of Lily? She's causing quite a bit of trouble. But if you do pick the RAV4 gasoline, that's an 8-speed automatic transmission, and it is a very reliable one. The engine is very reliable. Both are a little boring. And speaking of the powertrain, I was disappointed. I did do some snow drifting and felt that the vehicle wasn't very intelligent in regards to, trying to drift in the snow, but have a nice line and not, kind of just slide off where I don't want to go. And I didn't feel that the system was very intuitive about knowing what I'm trying to do. It just seemed kind of like confused. It kind of felt like the computer system was being like, I'm a Toyota. Why are you putting the pedal to the floor? I'm not made for this. I kind of felt like the car knew we weren't a good fit. I did not feel very welcomed in the Toyota RAV4. Mind you, the plug-in, if we go back to the plug-in, tons of power. I would have a RAV4 Prime plug-in any day of the week. And I also like Toyota's TRD. When they put TRD on something, I like the look, Mind you, they're never really all that off-road because they like to not do things like have tow hooks. Like they sometimes miss the mark on little things, not the end of the world. Now, Toyota, your site is, I'd like to get out, and you're not making it easy on me. So I'm having trouble navigating on this site. So that's, I guess, a potential criticism. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a dummy. Now let's see the Highlander. I love the Highlander. Love the 4Runner. Wish the top came off the way it does on the Bronco. And I'm looking for the RAV4. So let's take the 23 RAV4 here. Again, beautiful vehicle. The 2.5 liter, if you're not power hungry, is going to be fine. It's going to be super reliable. The transmission, super reliable. Fine. If you start to press on it and you want, power to really pass people, if you want to have fun in the snow, fun doesn't work with this 203 horsepower engine. Reliability certainly does. So navigating here, vehicles, we've picked the RAV4. I want to build it. They're not making it easy at all, but there is a tiny little button in the corner, white and black.
And you came back at the same place. Yeah.
I've come back to the same place. So I want the plug-in, and they're not making it all that easy. Now, the Hybrid Limited. Let's see the hybrid powertrain. What do we get? Are we getting a little bit more horsepower? Yes, we are. 219 horsepower. Still not enough. For me, the only vehicle, and it's all about knowing yourself. You've got to test drive these vehicles. It's the only way. And during the test drive, the dealership, they make money. They make money to give you service. Put that pedal to the metal. If having power to take over a vehicle is important to you, you need to try that out, because sometimes numbers don't say the full truth either. Because if a transmission hesitates, or if you have turbo lag, you could have a powerful vehicle. Or here, a criticism of my Mustang. People call me a Ford fanboy, but I have criticisms of everything. I'm realistic. My Mustang is unbelievably powerful, but I don't like how when I press down on the pedal, I can almost count 1, 2, 3. Wow, this is fast. The problem is between 1, 2, and 3, the vehicle's accelerating, but it's not giving me that huge kickback in the seat. So I'm not getting that fun, that adrenaline rush, that fun that I need. And I'm actually accelerating.
That you have with your Lightning.
That I have to my Lightning. The Lightning's incredible. I press on it, it takes off. An F-150 EcoBoost engine, 3.5 liter or 2.7 liter. I love those things. You just hit the pedal and boom, you get kicked back in your seat and it takes off. To me, how fast the vehicle is on the quarter mile isn't nearly as important as how fun the vehicle is to drive. And delayed response from when you put the pedal down to when you actually kick back in the seat, it's not great. So the Mustang GT has a delayed response. It's my major criticism with the vehicle. And it doesn't have it on the 2.3 liter. So I really like the 2.3 liter engine in the Mustang, because you press the pedal and that thing gives you instant power. Instant power, super important for me. Rev Nation, how many vehicles do you two have? A lot.
Too much.
Right now we're on a diet, so we're very reasonable right now.
You're not reasonable right now.
Super reasonable. We only have, I think, 4. We have the MR2, we have the Mustang GT, we have the Lightning, and we have your Maverick. So right now we only have 4.
I only have one, he has the rest.
Sometimes we have 6 or 7, but that's usually when Matty starts to get pretty crabby, and I cut it down. And I do have the Wild Track Bronco on its way.
Yeah, and Sanjib asked if we know about the Rivian. We don't have it here, but I knew that John was doing some research sometimes on it.
Smaller truck, I like the look. There's a lot behind the Rivian that I like. I think it's got a cool design. I think it'd be a great vehicle to lease, but it's not the type of vehicle I would want to have long term, because it's all about lack of service. Just like Tesla, I don't want to buy a used Tesla because of lack of service. Now, Tesla's going to try to tell you, no, we send a technician to your place, and it's incredible. Well, there's also a lot of stories of that technician not showing up. So already you can't get into your vehicle because of the door lock problem. And then you're still locked out of your vehicle for another 3 weeks until they reschedule and come back later. You already took a day off work to be there when the technician is there. I'm sorry, I want to be able to, Ford roadside assistance or Toyota, same thing. You call the number they give you and a tow truck comes and picks up the vehicle, brings it to the dealership. You get to continue working. You're not bothered. They fix it. They send it back to you. simple. I like it when it is simple. So
That's a good explanation.
I cannot make it around on this vehicle. I can't, get a monthly out of it. So in my opinion, big fail
So
in
for
certain
build and
aspects.
price, you need to go at a dealership.
So for a building price,
That's the conclusion.
it's a little lousy. I get to see the price, but I don't know what the interest rate is. I don't know what the monthly is. I don't know what the lease versus the purchase is. So Ford's website is miles ahead on this. And Scotty Kilmore just came out with a video, says Ford, no more dealers. That's not happening, folks. Ford's going to continue to have dealers, but they're going to be much, as the time moves on, it's going to be all about service, quality experience, and not so much about price. We already see it in the world of electric vehicles. As of 2024, there's going to be one fixed price. There's going to, dealerships aren't going to be able to ask for more or less. It's going to be one price. That's part of the new contracts going down for EVs. And we're going to eventually, I'm positive, as long as Jim Farley's at the head of things, it's going to continue to be that way in regards to, it's going to become that way for the gasoline powered vehicles. Because one thing people like about the Tesla experience is whether you're a mouthy 22-year-old or you're a really kind retiree that doesn't want to, shake the boat and doesn't want to get into a verbal altercation with the salesperson, everyone's going to get the same price. So it's just going to be a fair deal, a fair price for everyone. I think that's the future, and also actually having a point of service. So poo-poo on Tesla for that. The point of services, there's not as many as there needs to be. And I'm sorry, you can't just have a showroom where you go and sit in the vehicle. You need to be able to talk to a real professional. You need to be able to have service people there to, service people are great when they're really experienced in your vehicle. Look, heck, what is it? Our King Ranch, that was, what was it, 10, 12 years old, 15 years old. It wouldn't run. A mechanic had it, non-Ford mechanic had it for 3 weeks, spent 4 hours on it, couldn't find the problem. The dispatch at my Ford dealership was like, oh, what year? Oh, that's probably your fuel module in the back. It's actually outside the gas tank. We could just switch that for you, and good chances it's going to fix your problems. $89 part, half an hour of work. My truck was back on the road, running and growling just great.
That's the big difference. That's a real service.
That's real service. You need these service points with experienced people.
We don't want to trade Tim Bars for a robot.
Yeah, that's right. We don't want Tim Bartz to be replaced by a robot. All right, so that's the show for tonight. Mm-hmm. I told Marie I'd keep it under an hour, and it looks like I've kept it under 2 hours. Thank you so much for making it through this entire live with us. Really, really appreciate it. Hope you don't mind we did a little Toyota stuff. I do like the Toyota Supra, the 4Runner, various Toyota models that I like.
Yeah, you almost bought a 4Runner when I didn't have a car.
Yeah, I almost bought a 4Runner for you, and I also almost bought a Supra, but I got a Mustang GT instead.
Yeah, you had too much cars, so I needed to stop you.
You needed to stop me. Folks, let's stop looking at these reliability studies and start looking at the cost of ownership studies, which Kelley Blue Book does. And so does the company called Vincentric. Cost of ownership is important. And you can also go ahead and look at repairpal.com. Repairpal.com looks at, the average prices put into vehicles of a certain year. So there's my big advice. Don't be fooled, folks. Thank you so much, Outsider Reviews, for encouraging us for going outside of our comfort zone. Thank you so much. Now, we can't read all the comments that go back because Marie can read them far better than I, because I'm sort of entertaining, commenting, giving out data, trying to organize all the thoughts here. But if there's something important that I should know, please, Marie's not going to tell me what all the comments were tonight until midnight. So please go back when the show's available, throw it down in the comment section. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a great night. And of course, we do wish you more cars and more power.